Hello and welcome to this live stream. And I'm happy to be here. It's been a while. I have not done a live stream in a while. And I thought, you know what? It's time. It's time to get back on that live stream bandwagon and have some regular updates with you guys. So this is going to be the first of many more live streams. We're going to try and do one a month here on the channel. And it's just today a chance for me to kind of have a chat with you guys, just really relaxed, answer any of your questions that you might have about renewables, electrics, business, whatever it might be. Throw all your questions in the comments below and I'll be happy to answer them as best I can. Let me know in the comments where you're joining from. I'd love to know, because we have an audience from all around the world, which is super cool. So drop all of your locations in the comments first of all, and I can see a few people starting to say hello in the comments. So welcome to all of you. We've got Rowan Green, we've got Tech with Chris, we've got Mary M. Welcome, good to see you. And we've got Hubert Hoefsloot, and he is from Holland. So I will say in my best broken Dutch, van harte welkom on dit live stream. Oh, that's really bad, my really bad Dutch. Oh, and we've got another Dutch in the comments, Dutch Off-Grid Homesteading, welcome. Super cool to have you on board. By the way, just so you know, if you want to leave a comment, you do have to be a subscriber. But most of you probably are anyway already. But if you're not subscribed, just hit that subscribe button and then you'll be able to comment on the live stream. So Mikey says hello. Hi, Mikey. Welcome. We've got Man, Hobs and Interests. Have you got any vacancies? So we're going to talk about that in this live stream today. One of the big things that we've got going on at Artisan at the moment is we've got multiple jobs open right now. So that's quite a cool time for us. And I'm going to tell you a bit more about what those jobs are and what kind of people we're looking for to join the Artisan team over the coming months. So we've got Cowlin Hawkins. Welcome from Northern Ireland. Awesome. And we've got Multi Electrical Services. Welcome from Oakham, Rutland, smallest county in England. And a little known fact about Multi Electrical Services: he is Rutland's #1 electrician and #1 electrician YouTuber in Rutland as well. So definitely go and subscribe to Multi Electrical Services. He's got a great little YouTube channel going on at the moment, and he's got a bit of a battle going on with the energy suppliers. He's bravely decided, bravely or stupidly, we shall see. He's bravely decided to take on the energy suppliers who are offering rock bottom prices on EV chargers and to do a crazy price match with the energy suppliers, which I told him was a bad idea, but he's doing it anyway. So go and watch that video that he's done about it. It's quite interesting. Oh, Tech with Chris is my Dutch is amazing. How many other languages? Okay, so I have a weird confession to make, which is that I do speak a number of languages. So I speak fluent French. My wife is French, and I am actually officially French now myself as well. I've got a French passport. I also speak a bit of Dutch, a bit of Croatian, a bit of Chinese. That's all I can think of at the moment. So Scotty says, my 25-year-old house has a plastic consumer unit, not sure what make. Should I have it changed to metal? So the thing about plastic consumer units is, yeah, they don't comply with the current regulations, but does that mean that they're unsafe, immediately dangerous? Are they going to catch on fire spontaneously? No, not necessarily. A plastic consumer unit with loose connections can get hot and is more likely to catch fire. That's why they've brought in the regulations about metal consumer units, because at least if the components within the consumer unit catch fire, the consumer unit enclosure itself should hopefully contain that fire, and it's not going to all collapse and melt down the wall in the event of a fire. So that's kind of why they've implemented these regs. If we were doing an EICR on your property and it had a plastic consumer unit, but there was no signs of overheating or anything, and it wasn't in a fire escape, it would just go down as a C3, which is recommended improvement, but it's not immediately or even necessarily potentially dangerous. It's just not compliant with the current regulations. So I hope that answers your question. Keep putting your questions in the comments, guys. So this is a Q&A session, which means it's open to you. Ask me anything that you want around renewables, electrics, business, whatever it might be. I'm here to answer your questions. It's just a good time for us to have a bit of a catch up. And as I said at the beginning of the live stream, I'm going to try and do this regularly now, once a month, so that we can kind of keep you updated with what's going on and just kind of build this community that we have. Because, you know, I want to say we really appreciate you viewers. You know, come back and watch our videos regularly and leave us amazing comments. The channel's really growing fast at the moment, and we've got loads of cool projects in the pipeline to share with you guys. So it's really a pleasure for me to just jump on here and have a little chat to you guys. So we've got Luciano from Birmingham. I fix electric cars. That's a cool job. And you know what? That's going to become more and more needed over the coming years. So you're getting yourself into a good niche there, because as these aging electric cars start to go wrong, somebody's going to need to fix them. So it sounds like you're setting yourself up for success there. Multi-electrical services sending big hearts. Thank you. Mary M, love your video the other day. How much electronic make your price seems fair, especially as I watch a lot of your videos. You won't miss this in Samsung. Thank you. Yeah, that was an interesting video. You know, it's always a mixed bag with the comments on those kind of videos. Some people like to have a bit of a moan when I make videos about that, but there was a lot of supportive comments as well from electricians who said, you know, it's good to see somebody else actually acknowledging the amount of overheads that we have in electrical businesses and how much you really need to charge to run a successful business. So thanks, Mary. Andrew says, do you install in Manchester, and is the Anchor X1 the way to go? So what I will say about when people ask me, is this product the way to go, or is that product the way to go? What I will say is this: every installation is different, right? So there's no one size fits all product. And what we do at Artisan Electrics is we design a bespoke system for our customers to match their needs. So the customer that we fitted the Anchor Solix X1 for, that was because we designed the system and the Anchor Solix X1 was a perfect fit for that customer. It was a fairly small install. They didn't need whole house backup. The look of the property, you know, is important, and the Anchor Solix X1 looks really great. So it fit well for that customer. But that being said, I wouldn't be recommending that product for everyone, because there are other products that suit better for other people. So we're not tied to one specific product, even though we do sponsored videos for different brands. For us, that's just a way for us to showcase that product in its particular scenario where it's a good fit for. But you know, not every product is perfect for every customer. It really varies. And that's one of the things I'm super passionate about, is actually learning about what's out there on the market. I'm always looking for, you know, what's the latest product, what's the latest technology, so that we have a really good overview of what's out there and we can offer the best products to our customers. So Kane Armstrong says, are you still looking for partners in the UK, and where could I find the form if possible? So that's a really good question. And what I will do right now is I will drop the partner form in the chat, because right now we are looking for more partners again. So just for me to explain a little bit, here we go. I'm going to put this link in the chat. We are insanely busy right now. We're so busy that we're saying to customers that up below a certain budget threshold, we're not able to help, or out of our area, unless it's over a certain project size and budget threshold, we're not able to help. But we're not just turning people away and saying, sorry, we can't help. You're going to have to find someone, because it's so hard out there to find good installers. So what we've been doing over the last year is building up a network of approved partners. And what that involves is us hand-picking companies around the UK that we vet, we check, we learn about, and if we feel like they will work to the kind of standard that we would work to, and we're happy to recommend them, then we onboard them to our partner network. And we're then able to say to our customers, if we can't help them directly, we've got a partner in your area who can help. So that's kind of how we're handling it at the moment, because our lead volume is just so insanely high that we can't service every single customer right now. we're having to be very careful about what projects we do say yes to. And then the rest, we're able to send over to our partner network, which means that the customers get a good install done still. And it helps us to make the most of the lead volume that we've got without having to 10x the team, which would be impossible to do overnight, you know, and go national overnight. It's just not possible. That kind of thing takes time. So so the link is there in the chat for the partner form. If you are a 5-star electrician who offers renewables, EV chargers, stuff like that in a particular area of the country, feel free to apply. We go through it every couple of weeks, and then we book meetings with any potential new partners that we would like to onboard. And we ask you lots of questions about your business, get to know you a bit, do our due diligence. And then eventually, if we think you qualify, then we can onboard you to the partner network. So that's how that works. So going back through the questions now, the price of my inverters has gone up to about 400 to 500 euros. Do you have the same problem? I haven't noticed inverter prices spiking, but that being said, it is in the back of my mind with all of this crazy tariff stuff that's going on right now. Inevitably, I think that is going to have an impact on solar panel prices, inverter prices, battery prices. I just feel like it's going to happen. And I have already heard from several people that panel prices are going to start to go up again, because this whole massive glut that we had that kind of came through over the last couple of years where there was sort of overproduction, that has now basically stopped. And so the manufacturers have got more power in their hands because they've got more demand than supply, and they're able to actually start putting the prices up again on the panels. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. And I'd say if you're an installer, just keep a close eye on the prices from your suppliers, because it's so easy to have your price catalog just locked into your pricing software or whatever and not update it regularly. And if you're not careful, if you quote a job and then 3 months later it gets accepted, that price can already be 10, 20, 30% off, and you end up taking the hit, or you have to go back to the customer and say, I'm really sorry, the prices have gone up now, and you have to update your quote. So yeah, something to be careful about for sure. Who else have we got here in the comments? We've got Scotty, no worries. Craig Lucas, where's Corey? Oh, he's probably gallivanting around on a ski slope somewhere, or climbing a mountain, or doing some crazy stunt somewhere. Why don't you ever install Victron energy products? We have worked a little bit with Victron stuff, but I'll be honest, I'm not sold on Victron stuff yet. I feel like it attracts all the kind of like DIY type people. It's sort of like Meccano, you put all the pieces together and program it yourself and stuff. And I get it, like these kind of DIY people like it, or the people who are doing their own off-grid setups with, it's typically for stuff like canal boats or camper vans and things like that, But for us, we're working in really high-end residential properties. We need to be installing premium products that look beautiful and blend in with the house. We need to be thinking about the form factor and how much space things take up. And the Victron stuff takes up a lot of wall space with all the various parts. So for us, really, Victron is not necessarily the best solution, but I'm always open to things, and I do look at Victron for certain projects that we have coming in if I think that it's the suitable solution for that product, for that project. What else have we got? Philip Wills, what are your thoughts on businesses open to the public having socket protectors? Should they have a risk assessment saying that they shouldn't have them? I mean, socket protectors is a really interesting one. So in case you don't know what Philip is talking about, basically the little 3-pronged plastic things that plug into a socket. Supposedly it's to protect sockets and stop kids from poking their fingers in the socket, right? But the reality is that the British standard socket is so safe, and it's designed with a shuttering system where you have to push a pin into the earth socket in order to then open the shutters for the line and neutral. And basically if you plug a plastic thing in that can easily break and get brittle over time, the earth pin then opens the live and neutral slots. And if the plastic thing breaks, you can then have live open contacts available. So basically, it's completely unnecessary because the British standard socket is super safe and a kid's not going to be able to just poke their fingers in it. Number two, it's actually potentially more dangerous because the plastic thing that's supposed to protect you actually can break over time and expose the socket to being more dangerous than it should be. So it's one of those annoying misnomers that someone invented because they thought they're being clever, I guess, and they'd make a load of money, and they probably have. But realistically, it's not making anyone any safer. Hope that answers your question, sort of. Craig Lucas, love watching your vids, bro. Thank you, Craig. We appreciate you. We really do. We appreciate everyone who comes back and watches our videos regularly. You know, I have this lovely privilege of speaking to a lot of customers recently. I've just been getting on the phones a bit more, and the amount of customers who phone and just, you know, show their appreciation for our videos, and it's really, really refreshing to hear that, you know, and we appreciate when people say that they like our content because it takes a lot of work, believe it or not. So it's good to know that it's all worth it. What else have we got here? When do you think solar tiles will go mainstream by? That is a really good question, and I honestly don't know the answer to that. Right now, there's no kind of big move with solar tiles. I know the Tesla tiles in America have sort of been quite slow to grow even over there, and you'd think it was a no-brainer product, right? I mean, Marques Brownlee, I think it was, did a video about his install, and you know, it's expensive, it's a premium product for sure, but it looks so nice, and you can essentially take your entire roof solar. You know, in the UK we have these annoying boundaries that we have to leave of like 400 mil around the edge of the panels for MCS rules and to stop wind uplift and things like that. But if you've got solar tiles in the roof, you can basically go pretty close to the edge, I would imagine. So it's a cool concept, but right now I think it's quite far from being mainstream. Maybe in 2, 3, 4 years time, especially when the solar cell technology improves, maybe that will make it even more attractive. But it's certainly not something that I've really seen much demand for here in the UK. And I'm surprised about that, because when I saw the Tesla solar tiles coming out, I thought, wow, this is going to be a game changer. You know, everyone's going to want these. But at the moment, it seems to be far, far from taking off. Tech with Chris, do you have an EV in France as your main vehicle? No, I do not even have a car. I literally don't own a car. The only car that I have is my business car for when I'm back driving around, and that is an EV. But I do miss my Tesla. I really do. And it's, you know, some people love Tesla, some people hate Tesla, but I think they make amazing cars. And it's definitely the best car I've ever driven. In fact, I rented one the other day to go to a job because I wanted to turn up in a nice vehicle, and it was so nice to drive. It was fantastic. What else we got going on here? Do you like the Earthshore twin and earth cables with pre-insulated CPC? I like the idea of it. We are using it now regularly. I think it does save time. So yeah, I mean, it's, you know what I like more than anything, more than even the thing itself, is I like innovation, right? And I feel like the electrical industry in general, but particularly in the UK, is so slow to adopt innovation in general. So when I see companies who are innovating in the space that we're in, I just love it. I think they should be congratulated. They should be encouraged, because we need innovation. You know, we need to move things forward. There's so much amazing technology out there, but not a lot of it filters through to our industry. So when I see people innovating, like Doncaster Cable's doing what they're doing with the Earthshore, hats off to them. You know, I think it's great that they're pushing the boundaries of tradition and trying to move things forward. It's long overdue. So Rich Tynes says hi from Littlehampton on the south coast. Very nice. We've been working down there this week, actually. Just finished a project today in Portsmouth. So a nice solar and battery install down in Portsmouth. The team have been working on. They've done a great job. 30 odd solar panels across 3 roofs with a Tesla Powerwall 3 and Tesla EV charger. So that's been a really nice project this week. Okay, what else? Oh, wow, all the comments are pouring in. Thanks, guys. Really great to hear your comments. We've got loads of questions to answer here, so that's fantastic. Just bear with me as I try to get through them. So I've got another one here. Says, I need to run my scenario by you guys. I'm at my best putting it through the website. You guys are really impressive. Andrew. Okay, so Andrew, if you're talking as a customer, like if you're looking for getting solar or battery installed or some kind of renewable install, whatever it might be, best way to contact us is through our virtual site survey tool on our website. So I've personally co-founded a company called 𝐿, and we've developed this amazing virtual site survey tool. It kind of came out of a problem that I had where I was just struggling to get out to all of the site visits that I needed to do. I mean, we have a unique problem at Artisan Electrics, which is that because of our YouTube channel, we get so many leads coming through. And my problem was I couldn't keep on top of them all. And the other thing is, you know, even if you're getting less leads, qualifying people and actually like not wasting time going out to site when you don't know whether the job's suitable for you to take on or not, it's really important to have a solution to that problem. So we came up with 𝐿, where we have a very simple virtual site survey that the customer goes through, and it makes it super easy for the customer because they can pick up the mobile phone, they can take a few pictures and do a little walkthrough video of what they want, and they can do that anytime that's suitable for them. Because another problem that I found is that when we're trying to call customers or we want to do site visits, the customers are out at work, because when we're at work, customers are at work. Customers want to do things in the evening or on the weekends when the office is closed. So it's just a perfect match made in heaven to get a great kind of overview of the installation, allow the customer to provide all of the information that they need to us at a time that's convenient to them. And it means that we get a package of information about the job that's super clear. We have all the answers to the questions that we would usually ask during a site visit or by sending a million emails back and forth. And then we can look at the job and go, yeah, this is great. We can give the customers advice over the phone about it. If we need to, we can still go out and do a site survey, but it gives you that upfront amount of information. So I'm rambling on a little bit, but what I wanted to say is for any customers who approach us, what we do is we send them to our website to click get a quote, and it takes them to our 𝐿 virtual site survey. And that will work for whatever job you want to do, whether it's solar, battery, EV charger, or anything else like a rewire, adding some sockets, lights, whatever it might be. We've got specially designed customer journeys for every single type of job that we do. So if you choose like, I want a smart thermostat, it's going to ask you all of the questions about what smart thermostat you want. Do you supply it yourself or do you want us to supply it? How many zones of heating do you have? All of that kind of stuff that I would ask if I was on the phone with you that I can't necessarily ask when we're struggling to get in touch with each other. So hopefully that answers your question. Cowlin Hawkins, recently I started my business, struggling to get consistent work. What advice would you give for short-term solutions and long-term solutions? Okay, so first advice I would give you is there are things to do and things not to do. In fact, I did a whole marketing masterclass on my Electrician's Business Tips YouTube channel. If you don't know, I've got another YouTube channel. I don't shout about it much, but it's all about business. And I just share a ton of knowledge on there. I've posted an entire like 40 lesson business course on there. And you can access all of that. Just go to Electrician's Business Tips YouTube channel. But one of the things that I said on that channel is that you can do stuff like buying leads, right? That's a quick one if you're looking for some quick wins. But there's a danger there because often these lead generation services like Rated People, My Builder, Bark, stuff like that, they're selling the lead to multiple people, right? And then it's fastest fingers first of whoever contacts the customer first or whoever gives the lowest quote that wins. So it's a bit of a cutthroat environment, and it's not necessarily the nicest way to grow your business long term. But if it's literally just, I need some work tomorrow, which I've been there, you know, when I started my business, first of all, I was living in Portugal, flying back to the UK for a week a month, hiring a van. I'd jump in the van. Some weeks I didn't know what I was going to be doing the next day. And it was literally like, I'll buy a few leads on rated people, call the customer straight away, try and win the job, jump out and do it as quickly as I can. And that's how it is when you first start, right? You're building from zero. So, totally get it. You need to get instant leads sometimes. And that's what those lead services are for. If you build up a good reputation on there and you get lots of good reviews and things, then it can help long-term with your business as well to build up a bit of a reputation on there. Other things though that are easy and cheap, like local ads. I started off putting in a little local ad in my post office window, for example, stuff like that. And then with those ones, you get the sort of elderly clients who aren't necessarily online, and they just go and go to the post office every day to pick up their milk and their newspaper or whatever, and they look in the window and they say, "Oh, electrician," and they're like, "I need an electrician," and then they get in touch. So that's a nice easy one. And for like 50p a week or whatever it used to be, it's probably more than that now. I used to just stick a few smart looking postcard sized adverts in my local post offices, and I used to get some work from that. But then long term, what you need to absolutely do is build up a bank of good reviews online. Google reviews are good. Just every customer, ask them, can you do me a favor and leave me a review? I'm trying to build up my online presence. If they're happy with your work, they'll be happy to leave you a review. And that goes really, really far in building up your online presence. Build a portfolio of work online as well. Post photos of your work on Instagram. Start a YouTube channel if you've got the guts for it. And you've not, people say, "Oh, I've got a face for radio." Well, I think probably half of the YouTubers out there, like myself, have a face for radio. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. It's just all about showing your work and, being proud of what you do, showcasing that. So if you can do that as much as possible, showcase your work online, that will definitely help as well. Ask for referrals too. When you get a customer, ask them if they've got any, friends or neighbors that might need an electrician too. They'll probably be happy to recommend you or put you in touch. So that's just a few ideas. I have a whole business community as well, electricians business community. It's free to join, and there's loads of free training resources in there. So what we'll do, I'll leave a link in the chat for that as well. It's really like a safe place where electricians can go and just like talk about business or even technical stuff. So we're actually developing a whole host of technical training documents on there as well. Just things that, little real world scenarios that you might face as an electrician that trainees might face for the first time. How do I deal with this? We're putting loads of cool, valuable stuff in there. So I'll leave a link in the chat now, school.com/electricians, super easy, SKOOL.com/electricians. We've got coming up to 600 members in there now, and it's just a really cool, fun place to exchange ideas in a safe environment. It's a very positive place, which is what I like about it. So yeah, come over and join us if you're an electrician. We'd love to have you. Now, what else have we got in the chat? Loads more comments going on in here. So I'm going to try to go through every single one of these. So I'm having to scroll back up and just find where we left off. Okay, so Craig Lucas, do you need to do a safety test on Cat6 cable and sockets? No, not really. I mean, I don't think there's any potential safety issues with Cat cables. But the potential issues with data is just making sure that it's running efficiently and it's got the speed is good and stuff like that. But you don't really need to do safety tests on data cables, as far as I'm aware. Caveat is I'm not a expert on data, really. I'm not a network expert, so I can't talk too much about that. Russ is rocking O and Ho trains and stuff. We miss Corey. Oh yeah, Corey's a great guy, and he did bring a certain level of humor to the channel, of course. Everyone's got a different personality. I can't be as wacky as Corey was, but I'll try my best to make the videos a little bit entertaining for you when I can anyway. And what's your biggest success and biggest failure to date? Oof, wow. I mean, I'd probably say my biggest success is the YouTube channel. This YouTube channel has enabled everything else in my business to get to where it is today. You know, we get so many leads coming off the back of our videos now, and it's just opened up so many opportunities that I could have never imagined when I first started making YouTube videos 7 or 8 years ago. You know, I mean, it's taken a lot of work, and it's been interesting because recently I've been running a course to teach other people how to build a YouTube channel from zero, basically, YouTube for Trades masterclass. So what I'm doing there is I'm training other tradespeople to try and do what I've done and, you know, use YouTube to build their businesses. And I've realized through this process and seeing it through other people's eyes, like how much hard work it is. It's reminded me of like how much hard work it is, particularly at the start when you're trying to build traction. So it's really, you know, looking back, the fact that I didn't give up at some point and I've carried on and we've got to this point is quite amazing. And I'd say that's a success, really, because there is probably a million times I could have given up on the YouTube channel just because of how much work it is. And, you know, it takes a long time before it starts paying off, really. But that being said, I've learned so much now that I'm able to share with other people and help them to fast track their growth. So, you know, there's some people that we're helping with growing their channels, and they're already starting to see traction after just 3 months of working with us, which is really, really cool. And biggest failure, I would say, is just growing too quickly at one point and not keeping track of my costs. And, you know, I was just a bit naive. I think when you're growing a business, you're constantly learning new lessons, right? And every week or every month there's a new lesson. You've got to do something you've never done before. It's not like, you know, when you're an electrician, once you fitted 10 consumer units, every time you do a consumer unit, it's just, you're used to it, right? It gets easy. But with business, it's like, oh, I've cracked this, now I've got to learn a new thing that I've got to figure out and get my head around. And it can be challenging. So for me, one of the big things I had to figure out and get around was just actually like the financial side of running a business, and, you know, making sure that your overheads are you know, low enough to be sustainable, make sure you're charging enough to actually be profitable, and not just breaking even, but actually, like, you know, you need to be preparing for times when the market goes a bit quiet or something changes, and, you know, you can get sideswiped out of the blue with this world that we live in, and you need to be making enough money to be able to put something aside for those times when things do get tough, because so many companies just go bust in the trades industry, and particularly in the renewables industry, because it's just such a cutthroat environment. Particularly at the moment, there's a big race to the bottom. And so another big success, I would say, is that I went through that time like 1.5 years, 2 years ago, and I learned a lot of lessons from that, which have now helped me to set up for success and get to the place where we are now, where we're really only taking on, you know, bigger, more interesting projects, and we're able to really pick and choose the kind of work that we take on. And that is just like a sort of the dream, really, because we get to work on so many cool projects with amazing customers. So that's a really, really big win for me. Hello from St. Lucia. As an electrician, I'm learning lots from your videos. Thanks much for your hard work. Thank you, Troy. Appreciate it. Electrical and more. In Austria, we only have plastic consumer units. You'll catch up eventually. Yeah, I don't know why. You know, that's true in France as well, and in a lot of other countries. I don't know why they lag behind on certain things, but they're way ahead on other things. What else have we got? I'm buying a house with a bunch of dodgy DIY and plan a full rewire. What can I do myself to keep costs low, and how much should it cost? Well, Dan, I'll be honest with you. Can I be honest with you about this? A lot of customers try and do this. They're like, oh, if I can do some of the work myself, I'll save money. For example, I had somebody email me this week and he said, oh, I want a rewire, but to save money, he wants to do all the chasing out of the walls himself and put the back boxes in and, you know, do the plastering afterwards and stuff like that, which in theory you think is going to save him money, right? Because that means the electrician doesn't have to do it. But the issue is with that is when people try and do these things themselves and they're not used to doing them, it takes them a long time. And often they make mistakes and get it wrong. That causes delays for the electrician, who then ends up frustrated or having to charge more because the job drags out. And in the end, it would have been much quicker, easier, and cheaper if you just left the electrician just crack on with what they're good at. And I'll be honest, like, we don't specialize in rewires. We actually say no to rewires now because rewires are quite a specialist thing. What I mean by that is there are companies who are like a well-oiled machine who come in and just do rewires day in, day out. They'll rewire an entire 4-bedroom house in 2 days. They'll do all the plastering and making good themselves, and they'll do an amazing job. And that's because that's all they do. They are specialists in rewires. So if it was me, I would just get a specialist rewire company to do the entire thing. They'll do it quickly. They'll do it well. Might not be the cheapest, but ultimately it's probably going to be good in terms of price compared to what you might expect if you try to do a lot of the stuff yourself and it all goes terribly wrong. So that's me being a bit of a cynic. You might be an expert in a lot of these things, and I might be being a little bit patronizing there. Sorry if that's the case, but I've just seen it happen a lot where people try to do this to save themselves a bit of money and it ends up going wrong. What about M-phase and microinverters in general? So we do fit M-phase sometimes. We have done a number of M-phase projects over the years. I'm not a massive fan, to be honest. I think they're good in certain situations. Again, if you've got a few panels and, you know, maybe so few panels that a normal string inverter is not suitable, especially if there's a bit of shading or something like that, M-phase can be good. I would not install M-phase on a massive system because it just gets very complex with all of these AC runs that you have to bring down, because you can only have like 10 panels on one string with M-phase. So you end up with a ton of AC cables coming down, and then each one has to be on its own circuit. And then you've got like the meter thing that you've got to put in, and it just all feels a bit clumsy and clunky to me. I tend to lean towards SolarEdge if there's problems with shading, or if you've got so many different roof facets that you need to kind of have multiple roof facets on one string. I would lean more towards SolarEdge over M-phase just because it's nicer to wire up, and SolarEdge is very safe as well. You know, it's safe DC, so I'm not worried about DC. I know people say M-phase is safer because it's AC, but I'm not really sold on that, to be honest. But I think, as everything, it's a good solution for some people, and that's why we do spec M-phase for certain clients where it makes sense from a design perspective to do that. So I hope that makes sense. Hello from Ireland. Was there ever an update to the solar install video where the voltage of the house was swinging up and down and a lot, but the DNO said it wasn't their fault? Yeah, so you're going to have to stay tuned for that one, but I do have a massive update this week on that project, which is really interesting. So I'm not going to drop any spoilers in this live stream, but next week I'm actually going to be filming an update video about that project, and it's really interesting what's happened on that, and I'm quite excited to share the update with you guys. Craig Lucas says, I just need to know if I need to have someone do a safety test on the RJ45 and cable. I don't really know why you would need that. Not that I know of. Gadget Man, same question. Yeah, Gadget Man, I saw your message that you sent me, and I did look at that video as well. And yeah, like I said, there's a big update. It seems like a lot of people have got comments about that video. It is, you know, it was a fascinating scenario, and yeah, I don't really want to talk much more about it because I'm going to end up giving away too much about what's happened. But let's just say it's a really interesting result, and I think you guys are going to be quite surprised by what happened. Baron says, hi Jordan, what do you think of domestic installer courses offered by the big training providers? I want to be an electrician, but as an IT professional, I can't afford to be an apprentice. Yeah, this is a really challenging conundrum that a lot of people have, where they sort of want to get into the industry, but they're past the age of being an apprentice, or they've got a mortgage to pay and a family to feed, and they can't survive on an apprentice wage, which is completely understandable. So in that case, what you can do is, yeah, you could do a domestic installer course. Probably it's just going to give you a piece of paper and not much more than that. I'd say the best way is try and go through the NVQ process. Do like night school or something like that, evening courses while you're still running a full-time job, and then try and get experience with an electrical company to actually build out your portfolio and do NVQ3. We have made a video about this, by the way, so if you have a look on the channel, I think like how to become an electrician or something like that, you'll see the different routes that you can take to become an electrician. Andrew, your videos are excellent. I was hoping our house would make it. Do you think, or have you heard, whether the government will ever push subsidizing renewable solar, I guess. So Andrew, I'm guessing you're one of our customers, so thank you for the comment there. You never know, we might end up filming a video at your house. Stay tuned if you've got a good project coming up for us. But yeah, I don't think the government is going to subsidize solar, I'll be honest. Like, it doesn't, I don't think it would make sense for them to do that. They kind of are in a way with the 0% VAT thing, you know, that's their sort of way of doing it. But I don't think they're going to be offering grants in the UK, like, well, not in England anyway. I know that they do in Wales and places like that. I don't see that happening in England somehow, but you never know. Do you think you can do 40 EICRs in a day properly, average size houses and flats? I know for a fact that I can't do it because I've tried. So I actually made a video about this a few years ago because people were saying, yeah, I was getting these emails all the time. It was when the whole PRS regulations came in, the private rental sector. Basically, the government instituted these regulations which said that all rental properties have to have a satisfactory EICR that's valid. So suddenly every landlord in the UK who didn't have a valid EICR had to get one, and there was a massive insurge of requests for EICRs, which was great for us. It generated a lot of business at the time, but there were these companies out there jumping on the bandwagon. Quelle surprise, like they do with anything where, you know, people see pound signs like they're doing with solar and stuff at the moment. And they were saying, oh, we'll give you EICRs if you want to be a subcontractor for us. We'll give you EICRs. We'll pay you like 40 quid an EICR or something like that, and you need to do at least 4 in a day. Just ridiculous. And so what you get is what we call the drive-by EICR, where essentially people are just filling out the paperwork. In fact, I spoke to someone about this today, who said that they'd been offered an EICR and the electrician had already filled out the paperwork and the results before they even got to the property. And it is literally what we call a drive-by EICR. They just like stick their head in, you know, fill out the paperwork. It's not worth the paper it's written on. And so, you know, in answer to your question, like, just to write up the paperwork properly, including like attaching photos of all of your findings and having a properly laid out circuit schedule and all of that, that takes like an hour or two just to do that part of the paperwork. And then you've got the actual going around and testing stuff, because believe it or not, you do actually have to test stuff when you're doing an EICR. We test all circuits and we do 20% sampling. So we take off 20% of the accessories, sockets, switches, lights, all of that stuff, to look behind them and physically check whether, you know, everything looks okay and stuff. And then we test the endpoints and all the circuits. We do so much thorough testing in our EICRs. So I'll give you an example. A 4-bedroom house, we've done an EICR the last 2 days for one 4-bedroom house, and it took 2 days pretty much. So, you know, Lee was on it all day yesterday. Today he was on it till about 1 or 2 o'clock this afternoon. Then he came back to the office, finished writing up the paperwork. He made a list of the remedial works that were needed so that we could quote for those remedial works. So basically it took 2 days for the entire EICR. And that's how you do an EICR properly, with photos, evidence of all the things that you found, proper thorough test readings, etc. There's no way you can do a proper EICR and do 4 in a day. I just don't think it's possible. I've done 2 in a day before, but that was for empty houses where, you know, there was just like small houses, 2 or 3 bedroom houses, or in flats, and they were close to each other. I've done 2 in a day, but that's the most I would ever attack. Can you tell I'm passionate about that subject? Honestly, the drive-by EICR, something that we don't mess around with so much anymore now that we're focusing a lot more on renewables. But yeah, it's a bit mad. Right, so what have we... what else have we got in here? There's some really interesting comments. So what do you think about... Oh yeah, we got people. All let us know in the chat, guys. Where are you from? There's some really interesting locations here. So we got someone from Finland, got someone from Leicester. How exotic! We've got all sorts of people here. So Rowan Green, hello. Martin Powell, I'm 37 years old, currently a HGV driver. I've now got the means to retrain and change career. Congratulations. Where do I start? I have a very old degree in computer science. I'm ready for a change. Martin, do you live anywhere near Cambridge? If you do, we might like to hear from you, because I'll talk about our recruitment drive at the moment, because I've got to get in this plug. We're looking for great, passionate people to join our team at Artisan Electrics. We've got lots of different roles that we're hiring for right now. And I'll be honest with you, like at Artisan, we're such a fast-moving team that sometimes roles can kind of flux and change. The overview is that we're looking for someone to help us in the sort of back office team to order materials, look after our stores and stock checks and keeping on track of our inventory and stuff like that, really helping with logistics a lot, because one of the things that we struggle with is wholesalers let us down a lot, and we're actually in the process of getting a bigger premises where we can have more of a a stock of materials, etc. So we're looking for, the official title is a procurement and operations coordinator, to kind of help us to handle all of that stuff. And it might be, Martin, that having driven a HGV in the past, you might know how to drive a forklift truck, which could be a useful part of this job. We really need someone who's like super organized and, loves being organized and keeping on top of things, loves solving problems as well, because logistics can be quite challenging, making sure the right things get delivered to the right place at the right time and keeping track of everything. That role, it's going to be key to have somebody like that. So we're looking for that person. It's going to be based in Cambridge. It's going to be a full-time role in South Cambridgeshire. And, if you're interested in that job, then all you need to do is just email a CV and a short video telling you us about yourself, because that's part of the way that we recruit our Artisan. Everything's about video, right? So we ask for a video introduction, and I've still got the video introductions for all of our staff that have joined us so far. It's nice to look back on them and see how far they've progressed. But yeah, a video and a CV, send it over to jobs@artisanelectrics.co.uk. And that also applies to electricians, trainees, apprentices or adult learners, and anyone else who just thinks that they'd like to work for Artisan Electrics and they would bring some passion. We can train you. The most important thing for us is attitude. We want people who are, positive go-getters, hardworking, want to really move things forward with our company in the renewables industry, because it's a super exciting space to be in right now. And we're privileged to have some amazing customers to work for. We've got some super exciting big projects that we're working on, even some kind of international projects that we're helping with at the moment as well. So it's just like a really cool, fun team. Everyone gets on really well with each other. It's a really positive environment. And we're looking for more people to join and, bring more positivity and more great work to the company. So I'm kind of recruiting based on like personality and attitude rather than skill now, because I think we can train somebody who's got the right attitude. Of course, if you've got skills in logistics as well, that helps, or in, admin, answering the phones, or, you know, whatever it might be. Like, we want to have a bank of people that we can call on when the time is needed, who are, you know, looking to work for a company like us. So that's my little plug for recruitment anyway. And just drop us an email if you're interested in coming to work for us at any point. We'd love to hear from you. So who else have we got? Jessica Platek, hello from Leicester. Yeah, brilliant. James Wallace, how long do you think it will be before the UK ramp down SEG payments? I'm wondering if solar array oversizing is going to have its day. Yeah, James, I mean, I think this is an interesting debate because it's happened in Australia, right? They kind of had the solar wave. Like, we're probably, I don't know, 10 years behind Australia or whatever. Now, like 80% of houses in Australia have solar, and actually they charge you to export power to the grid because there's too much solar on the grid. So I think it will be interesting to see what happens. We're not there yet. We still need more renewable energy on the grid. Right now, the problem is the grid not being able to handle all of that power and getting the grid upgraded to the right kind of level to be able to handle that power that we do need. I think we're a few years away from it going the opposite, but you know that you've got energy companies talking about like local pricing being something that they're trying to push, and I can see that if that happens, then what will probably happen is you'll get some areas that are maybe quite affluent and do have a lot of solar on the grid already, that they will actually be like, oh, we don't need more power, we're not going to pay people to export in those areas. But maybe what they will do is lower the energy costs in those areas, because it's actually like, you know, they want people to use more energy to take it off the grid. Or they'll do more dynamic pricing, which is really interesting. And I think that is the future. And actually, that's not something maybe that they've really had big in Australia yet, but that's probably coming just with all of the technology improvements that we've got now, and particularly with AI and how AI can manage things. I was on a webinar today about the 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐫 energy system and the AI that they use to manage the charge and discharge of the batteries and stuff. It's so clever what these companies are doing now. So I would say that watch this space. Things are not going to stay the same for sure. I think it's still going to be attractive to have solar for a long time, particularly just to secure your energy future. I had a great conversation with a customer today, lovely guy, and he said, you know, I just want to secure the energy for my family in the future. He admitted that, you know, we don't know what energy prices are going to do. They could go up, they could go down, who knows? More than likely they will go up in the future, but the reality is you can't guarantee X return on investment with solar. Nobody can guarantee that because we don't know what energy prices are doing. But what you can guarantee is that you secure your energy future. You will lower your bills or even eliminate them if you have the right system. And therefore, if that is what you value, then it's worth doing solar, whether it's a 20-year ROI or a 10-year ROI or 30-year ROI. It doesn't really matter if it gives you that feeling of energy security and not having a big bill to pay every month. So that's my thoughts on it anyway, my honest thoughts about it, because I think there's quite a lot of mis-selling that happens out there with regards to what people call ROI and stuff like that. Okay, what else have we got? What do you think, Battery Man, what do you think of electricians installing EV batteries? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Can you clarify? Do you mean an electrician putting a battery into an EV? Or do you mean taking that battery out of an old EV and connecting it to a home? I'm not quite sure what you mean about that. I know Corey did one a while ago where he connected a Jaguar I-Pace battery, or he tried anyway. I'm not quite sure if he was really successful with it in the end, but tried to connect a Jaguar I-Pace battery to somebody's house through an inverter. And it was an interesting challenge for sure. If you only want to test the cable, yeah. Tony, yeah, okay, we're on the discussion of whether you need to safety test data cables. Very random rabbit hole that we've gone down here. Has anyone ever told you that you sound like Bear Grylls? I'll take that, thank you. Very nice compliment there. Cowlin, glad the advice was helpful to you, no worries. when you're shaving that atrocity off your lip. Thank you. It's not just the lip. Look, it's a full beard now. I know it's a bit patchy and stuff, but believe me, my baby face is not the, it's not the look that I want. So I've tried to mature myself a little bit by growing a beard. I'm getting the grey hairs though now as well, and the thinning on top. The old carpet's getting a little bit thin. So yeah, the joys and stresses of running a business. What happened to your 𝐒𝐫𝐅 screwdriver? Don't see it in your videos anymore. Oh man, I love those 𝐒𝐫𝐅 screwdrivers. I completely forgot about those. I think they got nicked, I used to have a few of them, and then they've sort of all gone wandering over the years, and I literally don't have the 𝐒𝐫𝐅 screwdriver anymore. And I really used to like that blue 𝐒𝐫𝐅 screwdriver. Thanks for that reminder. You're sending me down memory lane now. Brian Green says, I'm not a Sparky, but I've learned a lot from your videos. I built my passive house in 2017 without solar battery or a heat pump. I'm starting my second house this time with 44 solar panels, battery, etc. Thanks. That is awesome, Brian. It's so cool to hear about projects like that. We're working with some passive houses at the moment to do solar on them, and it's just like they're amazing. The kind of engineering and it's so logical to do this type of house designs. Just make them efficient from the ground up. Don't just make an inefficient house and then stick a load of solar panels on it and a heat pump to try and make it more efficient. Start with the fundamentals and the basics. It's all about engineering things right from the ground up, really, in my opinion. I found it funny when you found that dodgy plug socket and you got a whack from it later. You found out that the boiler was on the same ring. Yeah, that was a crazy fault find. That was the maddest fault find I have ever had, for sure. And yeah, I've never come across anything like it since. Maybe one day I will, but that was nuts. Excuse me. Battery Man says, have you ever helped any of your customers get free 3-phase upgrade? Not yet, but I might be working on it at the moment. What makes you smile when you get to a site? That's a really good question. I would say there's a few things. Like if I see clear tinkering on the behalf of the customer, and they say they had another electrician in or something that was doing it, but it's clearly DIY work, that always makes me laugh. Craig Lucas, I'm no Lecky guy, but I haven't wouldn't ever touch a fuse board. Good. Yeah, I mean, at least if you do DIY, at least don't touch the fuse board. If you're not an electrician, what would you do? It depends what mood I'm in, to be honest. If I had to stay in the trades, I'd probably be a carpenter, just purely because I think working with natural materials like wood and the smell of freshly cut cedar, or working with some fresh green oak and things like that, or pine, you can make some amazing things with wood, and I think it'd be quite satisfying to do. But I guess that's probably me talking as a it's not really, if you're a carpenter, you probably don't really view it like that. I'm thinking more as if I had my man cave with my little carpenter workshop, that's what I would enjoy doing. Other than that, I think I like traveling. I have thought that I would maybe be a scuba diving instructor, just travel around the world and teach people how to do scuba diving. That'd be quite fun. I love scuba diving. YouTube influencer, maybe. Yeah. Well, I'm sort of both at the moment, really. I'm a YouTuber and an electrician. I feel like more a YouTuber than an electrician these days, to be honest. I'm more an entrepreneur YouTuber who used to be an electrician. Because I don't get on the tools very much anymore, so I feel like it's a bit exaggerated of me to say that I'm an electrician these days. What's your favorite tool? I love the Hilti multi-tool. it's just such an amazing piece of kit that I've done side-by-side tests with other multi-tools as well, and it's just like it absolutely beats the competition every single time. I just love it. And it's maybe it's the carpenter in me again, you know, cutting a bit of wood, cutting a slot out of a bit of wood or something, or typical electrician job, chopping out a plasterboard back box or something like that with a multi-tool is just so satisfying. Such a great piece of kit. We use a lot of 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐫. Oh, wow, man, there's loads more comments. We're nearly at an hour and we've got a ton more comments, so I'm going to try and race through these. We use a lot of 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐫 and Huawei PV system in Ireland, but don't see Huawei as much in the UK. Why is that? They're great inverter and super versatile with battery storage and off-grid. Yeah, to be honest, I think the whole Huawei thing is because there was that whole drama around Huawei and everyone got put off by Huawei with, you know, the whole scandal around, I don't really even remember what it was around, to be honest, at the time, but it put a lot of people off Huawei. Interestingly, the 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐫 guys have basically come from Huawei. So the CEO of 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐫 was the big lead renewables guy in Huawei, and he left, took a load of the Huawei team with him, and they've just started this, you know, fairly new company. They're about 2 years old now, 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐫, but they are moving so fast with their technology. It's incredible what they're doing and how fast they're growing globally as well. I might even get out to their factory in China at some point, which would be quite cool to see what they're doing out there. But it's pretty impressive stuff. But yeah, I mean, I've heard that the Huawei stuff is good. In France, they use a lot of Huawei as well. They make optimizers, which I didn't really realize about, but I did a job with a French electrician. I made a video about it a few months ago, and that was using the Huawei inverter with the Huawei optimizers. It's not the kind of stuff I would fit. It's quite budget stuff, really. And what I like about the 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐫 stuff is really kind of premium quality. So, but that's just my opinion anyway, just being brutally honest. Mark, Caroline, have you ever considered going a Fox ESS video? They seem very popular and flexible. No, like, we don't do budget systems. That's just not where we're at Artisan. Like, I see tons of installers just throwing in Fox batteries and Solis inverters and stuff like that, but that's not where we're at. Like, and now as a business, when we showcase something on the channel or a type of install, the next day we get 50 requests for that thing, you know? So we don't want to be showcasing those kind of projects because we're not set up to deal with those kind of projects. We're really set up to deal with the bespoke, unique projects that, you know, take a lot more thought and require a lot more expertise and premium products and all of that kind of stuff. That's where we're heading as a business right now. So I'm not interested in just like reviewing cheap solar products. I'm interested in reviewing the best products that are out there on the market that I can offer to my customers. Play us a tune on that sweet axe in the corner. So that is my Taylor acoustic guitar, and it's a little bit of a proud piece behind me, but I must admit I'm so busy with the business that I very rarely pick it up. And somebody reminded me today that it's quite therapeutic playing the guitar. I was a little bit stressed today, and I was chatting to someone about it, and they were like, why don't you pick up the guitar and just have a little sing along and just get a little bit of that stress out, you know? So I do need to do that. I need to pick the guitar up again a bit more. Solar is getting big here in sunny Cyprus. Awesome. Would love to come over and see some installs. Been following you since the first episode and you opening the Fluke tester. Never give up. That's awesome. Amazing. Thank you. Man, you are hardcore. If you saw that video, that was the worst video I've ever made and the first video I've ever made. Do you have any demand for white and off-grid or island mode solar panels with or without battery storage or generator input? Yeah, we get asked about off-grid a lot. What tends to happen is there's off-grid and there's off-grid, right? So customers want to be off-grid in inverted commas, but usually that just means they don't want to be reliant on the grid. To go 100% off-grid, it tends to be like an exponential cost curve to get to that 100% self-sufficiency thing. So we've got projects that we're doing it for where we're doing a large PV array, then we're doing a large amount of batteries, and then just to give that extra security for those days in winter when it snows and the panels are covered for a few days and the batteries can't charge, we're putting in a diesel generator connected into the smart port so that the customer can still survive off-grid in that worst case scenario. But as you can imagine, there's a lot of cost involved with that, because you've got to size the solar array to be big enough to generate enough power for the customer's needs, even in winter, when the sun is very low in the sky and the days are a lot shorter. And, you know, in the UK, you sort of get about 20% of the generation in winter that you would get in the peak of summer. So you've got to, you know, you then end up with a solar array that's massively oversized in summer. And if you're not connected to the grid, then you can't export any of that power, so you can't sell it back to the grid. So in a lot of ways, it just doesn't make sense to be off grid unless you're really wanting to just stick it to the man, or you live out in a wood, like a forest somewhere in the middle of the nowhere, or on an island. From a financial point of view, it doesn't really make sense to be off grid for most people. But if you've got an unlimited budget and you want to stick it to the man and you just want to have 100% self-sufficiency, then great, you know, and we can do it for people, absolutely. But it's just not for everyone, really. But being virtually off-grid is a lot easier. You can get to the point where most of our projects, our solar projects in the UK, are 90% self-consumption most of the time. And that means that they're only pulling 10% of their power from the grid. And that's the sweet spot that we tend to aim for, is that sort of 80 to 90% self-consumption level. That tends to be a really, really good sweet spot, where in winter you're still, you know, pretty self-sufficient. In summer you're more than self-sufficient, and you can export a lot of that power to the grid. And at the moment you can get paid a decent amount for it, particularly if you store it in the battery and then you export it at peak times with something like one of the Octopus tariffs Flux, or some of these other smart tariffs that are out there. So yeah, it's quite attractive to be able to do that. I'm going to start losing my voice, so I might have to tune out in a minute, but I'll keep chugging through these questions. What's your thoughts on the government extending the EV deadline to 2035, positive or negative? I'm just going to take a glass of water first before I answer that. I think that it's positive because they've not wiped it out completely. 2035 is only 10 years away, right? I know that doesn't mean that every EV is on the road is going to be electric, but it means that they're only allowed to sell electric vehicles. It would be nice if it came in sooner, but I think realistically the infrastructure is not there yet. And a lot of people just can't get EV chargers at their houses. Like, we quote for a lot of projects that are so complex and therefore so expensive that the charger costs like a third of the price of the car. You know, you're looking at 10 grand to install an EV charger for some people, just because of the amount of groundwork that it is, because their parking space is 100 meters down their driveway from their house, or they don't have private off-street parking, or they've got to build a driveway. There's loads of scenarios that we come across. Or they've got a garage that's like separate from the house and you need groundwork to go across public land. There's tons of situations like that. And then a lot of people live in apartments as well. And all the management committees are really hesitant to take up EV chargers. And they use all sorts of excuses about fire safety and things like that. We deal with a lot of residents committees where you propose this system to them, and then they're like, well, why would I pay for EV chargers when I don't have an EV? You know, and even the grant money that's available, it just doesn't really slice much out of the cost. So there's a lot of reasons why it's just not really feasible for everyone to have a home EV charger right now. So therefore the public charging infrastructure needs to be more widespread, and that is still a big work in progress, because again, the grid needs to be ready for people to pull that amount of power. I think in 10 years time it will be ready, but we're not there yet. By the way, any channel members in the chat, I would love to see you. We have a great bunch of channel members. They get early access to our videos. We're going to be doing exclusive live streams with the channel members only as well from time to time. So yeah, let me know if you're a channel member, and also let me know in the chat if you're one of our school electricians community members. I'd love to hear from you. So when first moved into my flat, I had to fix about 70% of the sockets and lights. Okay, so we got Brighton in the chat, we got Scotland in the chat, we got Bahamas in the chat. I got asked to quote for a job in the Bahamas the other day, so I might be coming out to help you out there. Paul in Dorset. We've got Irish Pat from Galloway. We've got New Zealand. How much can an electrician earn realistically once qualified? That's a really good question. So you're saying a new electrician. So I think I'll caveat that by saying there are different levels of electrician, right? So you get qualified, you are just an electrician, basically. That's the first base. Then if you do your testing and inspection qualification, you can become an approved electrician, which is like the next level up. That means you're approved to sign off your own work. That means that you could be moved up to then be a qualified supervisor, and that means that you can actually supervise other electricians, check and sign off on their work as well. So there are different grades and different levels. Now, if you're newly qualified and you're just at the basic electrician level, obviously the salary is not going to be the same as if you're an approved electrician or if you are a qualified supervisor. You know, and then all of that is caveated by experience as well. So if you're just an electrician, but you are, you've got 10 years experience, 15 years experience or whatever, you're going to warrant better pay than if you're just newly qualified. But, the salaries, the pay varies throughout the country as well from place to place. Around where we are in Cambridge, a newly qualified electrician, probably 35 to 40k salary, I should imagine. But then, you go from that going up to approved electrician, qualified supervisor. Salaries can go up to like 50k, and then above that, they can go even higher than that. So you can earn really good money as an electrician if you get experience and if you get all of the qualifications, etc. Do you ever come across well-made DIY? Very rarely it has happened to me that I've come across very well-made DIY. Yeah, it does happen sometimes. It's usually people who sort of retired and they've got too much time on their hands and they're really just passionate about doing a great job and they want to kind of learn and keep themselves busy. So they just take their time methodically. They do tons of research and everything like that. And they genuinely do a great job. And, hats off to them. Then they call us and say, can you sign off on my work? And I'm like, what's it going to be like? We can't actually sign off on other people's work, but we can do an EICR on it. So we have done that for people in the past. Craig Lucas, it wouldn't be for me. I'm more into computers and home networking. Well, you never know, we might need an IT guy one day. Sparky from US, Oregon. Great, glad that you love the channel. Do you ever need web designers? Not really. We're doing a bit of a revamp at the moment, but we've already got somebody for that. Victor from Spain, welcome. Awesome to have you on board. Yeah, Paul Weaver, only 32 likes. What's going on with that? Right, all of you guys, hit a like right now if you've enjoyed this live stream so far. I would appreciate it. I want to see those likes go up. Yeah, we're on 40. Good. Come on, keep them coming. Get those likes up. Thanks, guys. Thank you for your video on how much to charge. It made me heating engineer and others in the same trade think very differently. The wage and then profit points you really made me think. Good. Hey, 45 likes. Thank you guys for pressing that like button. I appreciate you. And great. I'm glad that I've helped a gas engineer to rethink pricing as well. In the trades, we're all the same. Hey, 50 likes. Amazing. Thank you. 52 likes now. We're all the same in the trades. When it comes to pricing, it's so easy to get it wrong. It's so easy to undervalue yourself as well. And I've learned that the hard way in the past. And I wanted to just share those lessons with people. 53 likes, 54 likes. Amazing. Thank you Awesome. Second life energy storage. Yeah, okay. I'm not a fan of second life energy storage, but I know that it's necessary for some people. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Whoa, a live stream, Sammy. There we go. Yeah. What else have we got? I just realized you're not AI, real electricians and solar engineers. That is true, you know, and a lot of people are saying that people who are in software or stuff like that, people are saying, I get a lot of people messaging me saying, I want to change careers because I'm worried that AI is going to basically make my job redundant, and I want to be an electrician because I know that there'll always be electricians needed. Now, you know, whether the robots will eventually take over from electricians as well, who knows? But I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow. And actually, the electrical infrastructure that's needed to support all of this AI with all of the data centers and the chips that are out there and everything that needs powering, as well as all the solar and the battery infrastructure that needs to be there to support it and upgrading the grid. I was hearing something the other day about how the engineers who work on the grid, the electricians and engineers who work on the grid stuff now, they're getting old and a lot of them are going into retirement. And so there's a massive skills shortage for people who can work on the grid. But we need these people because the infrastructure needs to be upgraded. So, you know, it's a real challenge and it's an interesting one for people who want to get into the industry for sure. Awesome. Do you think Part P is a waste of time? Honestly, yeah. It doesn't really make sense anymore. I don't think it's. I just think it's a money spinner, like a lot of these things, really. Do you approve of my business name, 𝐒𝐮𝐫? I love your business name. I'm guessing your consumer units are not going to be particularly neat when we do the neat or not neat on them. We're nearly up to 60 likes now, guys. Well done. Keep it coming. Ryan in the comments, welcome. Awesome to have you with us. Ryan says, hello, mate. Love using OpenQuote and the new update has been great. Got some other trades who would be interested in using it. Are you looking to expand for others? Yeah, so massive thanks, Ryan, for that shout out for OpenQuote. We are eventually going to roll it out for other trades as well. So the idea is to build it for electricians, but then we can roll it out to other trades, because like if you're a plumber or a gas engineer, there's bound to be typical jobs that you do and the customer asks you for them and you say, oh, can you send me a picture of this or a video of that, or can you send me this information? And that like kind of idea of a virtual site survey tool can apply to every single trade, I think, ultimately. So there's potentially a huge market for this, but we're trying to crack the electricians market first and get this product to be so perfect and fantastic. So it's great to hear that you're enjoying using OpenQuote, and yeah, long may that continue. In fact, I will drop a link to OpenQuote in the chat right now so that you guys can check it out. You can get a free trial for 30 days with OpenQuote and see if it will be beneficial to your business. I'd love just your honest feedback, to be honest. Even if you try it and you don't like it, I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. Hopefully you do like it though. Bought a Q-Tech for my London vacation. Interesting. When fitting an EV charger other than your normal NIC EIC certification, what other paperwork is needed, if any? So when fitting an EV charger, you need to do DNO paperwork. So what that is you need to connect and notify. So if it's more than a 60 amp fuse, you can connect the EV charger, but you still need to notify the DNO, and there's a series of paperwork that you need to fill out to do that. It can all be done online now, and it's fairly easy. If it's like a 60 amp fuse, or if it's a looped supply, or if you're worried about the maximum demand of the property pushing over 100 amps with the EV charger, then you need to actually apply in advance for permission to connect and then wait to see what the DNO say. So yeah, that's an important part. Then there's also the building regulation certification that's needed for EV chargers, because one, you're installing a new circuit, two, it's a special location, and in both cases you need to submit a building regs Part P certificate. So that's an important factor as well. I will say that the whole Part P thing does stop people from doing DIY electrics, because if they ever had to sell the house and they don't have a Part P certificate for some of the work that's happened, they can get into real trouble, and it can void insurances and things like that. So from that point of view, it's quite good. Power engineers are needed to drive AI engines. Exactly. Yeah. Watching from MN, funny to see a work across the pond. I noticed that it looks like the 𝐿 X1 uses string inverters over there. Here they're only available with microinverters. Interesting. Just joined the Q&A. Have you given a update on the solar voltage nightmare from a few weeks ago? Yeah, so my answer to that was stay tuned, because I'm filming an update on Monday. There's been a massive update on that project, and it's very, very interesting. I'm looking forward to sharing it with you guys, but just bear with us because we are filming that next week. When pricing, do you add a markup or gross profit margin? I'm not sure what you mean exactly on that, but just check out my pricing video that I did. And if you want more information, I've done a whole pricing masterclass over on School with the pricing spreadsheet and an example of how we do our quotes and loads of other information in there. So you can head over there and benefit from that as well. School.com/electricians. That's SKOOL.com/electricians. And that's it. I have officially lost my voice, and I've been on with you guys for 1 hour and 20 minutes. So I'm going to call it a day, but I really want to thank you all for joining us. Want to reiterate to you, how much we appreciate you coming back and watching our videos regularly, and all the support that you give in the comments. We got a ton of great content coming up for you guys. We're back on track with 1 video a week at the moment, which is super cool, and great projects coming up to share with you. Also, like I said, we are hiring, and we would love to hear from any of you who'd like to join our team. If you've got the right attitude, whether you be an electrician, a trainee, an apprentice, all the way through to an admin person, a project manager, a business development manager, whatever it might be, I'd love to hear from you. At the end of the day, I want to make connections with great people, and whether it ends up in a job or just a business relationship or whatever it might be, I think it's interesting to have those kind of connections from passionate people who want to help move the industry forward. So yeah, look forward to hearing from some of you, and signing off. Thanks for joining.